reason I spend a little more time in 6 is because 6 is a very active step with many, many, many dynamics. Laurel and I were talking about it this week, and there is an ability to be entirely ready to have God remove all defects of character from you, whoever you are. The same application works for others as it does for you. In terms of that, to be entirely ready to have any defective character that comes up in me right now, and in this moment, I'm entirely ready to have God with me right now to remove any defective character that could come up right now. I'm also can be in the same place for you. You know how we get off kilter? In Emmett Fox on Sermon on the Mount, it's called silent prayer. It isn't something you say. You're just seeking God for God to come out in the person that you're around. It can be just for a loving gesture. It could be because they're going off the charts and they're getting nuts. They're acting inappropriate. They're in toxicity, whatever it might be. Because what do? Right? Stop them, ignore them, look the other way. You call out the God in them. You're entirely ready to have God with them to remove the defective character that you believe they're in, if it be God's will. So doing that is an important part of recognizing, how do I be entirely ready for someone else? Well, I learned to be entirely ready for myself, and then that's a natural process that comes. But in talking about that element with Laurel this week, she was like, wow, that's just heavy. Because there's someone in her life that needs treatment, spiritual treatment, that you can't do anything for anybody or change anybody, but you can spiritually treat them. So there has to be a way to do that. 6 is the step that we're able to do that with others when they enter in a bad state. So in terms of that, let's take a look at the first paragraph on 66, and it's going on to say, look, we're not saying you haven't grown. We're not saying there isn't good stuff there. But there are a certain fraction of people like us that think, oh, we're so much better than others. Oh, we've come so far. I don't do those things that they're talking about in this print. And that's why it's always remembering layer after layer. Let's take a look at some of the subtleties of these things, which is what they're going to introduce now. We're not saying you're raping. We're not saying you're murdering. We're not saying that you're greedy enough to steal. But what we are saying is the subtle aspects of those are still undermining your life. To the same degree at which those other things would be undermining others, it's relative to where you're at. When you're living in a spiritual world, you're on a higher plane. So things throw us off in a lot different way. And you want to know. Wouldn't you want to know? Don't you think it's important to know what rattles me? Anybody in this room, a resilient, durable, rawhide, emotionally non-sensitive person? Because if you're an emotionally sensitive person, you need to find out where you are sensitive and what makes you sensitive, and if you want to continue to be that sensitive person. I got to quit taking things the wrong way. I got to quit being thin-skinned. I have to start learning how to stop being attached and so needy of what your approval is of me or is not. We all know these deals, right? But I only recognize that with ego. I can't recognize that with ego. I can't recognize growth and spiritual development with ego. It has to be recognized with God-light. I can't do anything that I do. I always extend everything to God. And in the meeting, everything we do, it's just give it to God, because it's an endless bank of ability to handle every compliment, every asset, every quality, everything that's going to go further. God's got an unlimited reservoir tank. I can't handle certain stuff. I don't know when it is. I don't know what it is. The molten comes, and all of a sudden it's too big for me to handle, and now I think I'm the man. Or the minute things start looking like they're not going the way they should go, I'm going to yell, kick, and scream because I've gotten strong, and I don't know that that's happened. And this is what they're telling. Don't get strong. Don't think you don't fit in this paragraph. We're not talking about you raping, murdering, and doing all that. We're talking about the subtleties of defects of characters, okay? Right. It's like, wait a minute. Kudos. Look at I live. I go to meetings. I help people. I talk to people all the time. Blah, blah, blah. And they're saying, hey, look, dude, you're an alcoholic and a drug addict. Not much spiritual efforts involved in going to meetings and not getting loaded because your life unravels if you do. So it's like, wait a minute. Don't I get brownie points for this? And, but I literally remember, and I hope you can relate to it, that I thought that I deserved breaks and things because of the way I was living. I was clean and sober, and I should get some good stuff. And I would never say that, but I can tell you it resonated in me all the time, to the point where I become a victim again. What am I doing, God? I'm doing everything I'm doing. I'm way better than I've been. And here again, I got some chaotic situation. I got somebody yelling and screaming. I'm working for somebody I don't want to work with. I'm broke all the time. I don't have any relationship. What do I do now? How much more do I need to do? How long do I need to stay on this path before I get, my manipulative measures of me thinking that I'm doing this not for the right to do it, but because I'm going to get something in exchange? Imagine that. We don't know God, but we're all apt to live like good people and think that now God owes us. Right? Get into 2. I'm like, God, I don't even know how to come to believe. All of a sudden I stay sober, do a few good things, and I'm asking God, where's mine? You see, and this is what's helped me to recognize that is a defect. That is a defect and a flaw. That is greedy, and that is asking something with the agenda of getting something in return. That's what greed is. I'll do that for you. You do this for me. I will never do it just for the sake of doing it, but I'm learning how. Same thing with step 6 in this program recovery. Isn't it just good to live this way? Why do we get the idea that we should have some ultimate reward? But do take note. You get it.